also safe to assume that when he says he has never disparaged women in the military, he's just trying to see what he can get away with. Because we've got the video, we've got him in print, when he has just said as recently as November of 2024, straight up, women do not belong in combat. He has said they don't belong in the military at various points, but do not belong in combat. Not qualified, not well, if they can run or if they can do this or if they can do that. They do not belong in combat. In fact, in his book, do you know what he says they should be doing? Cooking.
Senator Joni Ernst is a female veteran on the Senate Armed Services Committee. She came out tonight saying that she will vote yes on Pete Hegseth.
Because a woman, Senator Ernst, is going to confirm him, even though he said women do not belong in combat. A man, probably 9 times out of 10, probably 10 times out of 10, 9 times, is better in combat than a woman. But no, we can't say that. It's Sean Daniel here. If you guys enjoy the videos, consider subscribing, and let's go.
Female veteran on the Senate Armed Services Committee. She came out tonight saying that she will vote yes on Pete Hegseth.
You know, look
at her face.
I got to figure there are about 250,000 women who are on active duty military service right now.
Oh my God.
Who are feeling pretty lonely that there is not a single Republican so far who will stand up for them, and instead are willing to pass along a person to be the Secretary of Defense who has said straight up that he doesn't want to see women in combat and doesn't think that women make good soldiers.
Who wants to see a woman in combat? If I'm looking at the enemy and I see a woman coming, I am not going to be as intimidated as if I see a man coming my way. But this is where DEI and the Liberal Democrat Party has gotten us.
Hearing from senators now that the Hegseth hearing is done.
The expectation that he will get confirmed. In fact, I just asked Senator John Thune, who's the Republican leader, the majority leader, decides the schedule of the United States Senate. I asked him about Hegseth's nomination. Thune has not said a ton about this nomination. I said, does he have any concerns about these allegations of sexual assault that Hegseth has denied but came up in today's hearing, about these allegations of misconduct and the like? And he indicated he does not. According to Thune, he said that Hegseth acquitted himself extremely well, and that he plans to move very quickly on this nomination. And it is moving quickly. We expect the Senate Armed Services Committee to have a vote as soon as Monday, Inauguration Day. That is according to the chairman of the committee, Roger Wicker, who told me that he believes that he'll get the support of all Republicans and be able to push this through.
Hearing from senators now that the...
So according to CNN, looks like he's going to be confirmed. Now, how is our favorite Dana Bash handling this and the rest of CNN? Let's take a look.
Pete Hegseth, Donald Trump's pick to run the Department of Defense, took...
I'm sorry. This woman always looks miserable. Look at her.
Donald Trump's pick to run the Department of Defense took a lot of tough questions
miserable.
on Capitol Hill earlier today.
All the time.
Despite that, CNN has learned that President-elect Donald Trump's team is in good spirits. They see the warm reception that he received from Republican senators as a very good sign. I want to discuss this with CNN senior political commentator Scott Jennings and CNN political commentator Karen Finney. Hello to both of you. Scott, what's your takeaway?
Well, in short, I think Pete Hegseth kicked their asses today. I mean, it wasn't even close. They didn't lay a glove on Hegseth. No mistakes, calm, cool, collected.
She don't like it. Look at her. She's always looking miserable. Why would I want to hear her take on politics in America when this woman looks pissed all the time? She looks dead. Okay, let's get back to it.
I mean, before the thing even started, you had this like Code Pink, protester freak show trying to disrupt the hearing. That's the Democratic base, by the way, which probably explains why the Democrats on the committee acted in such a bizarre and unprofessional way. I was appalled at some of the way these senators handle themselves and some of the lines of questioning. I mean, Tim Kaine sounded like a sex pervert in his questioning of Pete Hegseth. Blumenthal, who lied about his service in Vietnam, questioning Hegseth's qualifications. You had Gillibrand, you had Warren, you had Hirono going on unhinged rants about things. Angus King obviously doesn't understand what it's like to fight terrorism. On and on and on. Hegseth was cool in the face of his unhinged questioning. They made him look good today. It would be difficult for a Republican to vote against Hegseth after the Democrats' unseemly mudslinging today.
Karen?
Well, look, it was as performative as these hearings ever get. I mean, Republicans do it to Democrats, Democrats do it to Republicans. I mean, so that happens on all sides. Look, overall, though, clearly Hegseth was well prepared. And it was clear Democrats recognized that, given that there was some clearly concern that he wouldn't be able to handle more than one round of questioning, they were clearly trying to get certain things on the record. Personally, the comms person in me would have framed it differently. I would have talked about a number of these issues, both based on his writings, which at one point they were trying to do that. That was part of the strategy. But really, in the context of the modern military, because the reality is, as military leaders will tell you, climate change is a national security concern. It's real. It is a threat to our forces. It is a threat to our bases. It is a threat to our readiness. So I would have framed some of these questions more in the context of the current challenges the modern military faces.
So they will put this woman, who was a senior advisor on the Hillary Clinton campaign in 2016. She's a representative of the Democrat Party. In the Democrat Party, they will be on a major news network and try to bring light to climate change being a national security issue, but at the same time will evade the truth that putting DEI as a top priority is actually a national security issue. They will not persecute that idea at all. But climate change, oh my God. Not the fact that you have some trans, gay person in charge of a fleet of men. That's not a problem.
Diverse force, which is part of why diversity matters. I thought they also could have done more to, again, use some of the concerns about the way Trump has spoken. I thought Slotkin was very effective with this in terms of the use of force on American soil and the Geneva Conventions. I think those questions got a little muddled, and I think those topics actually are very relevant and did not get quite the airing I wish they would have.
That's interesting. It doesn't sound like you're all that thrilled with the way that your party's senators sort of performed as a whole, despite very notable exceptions. You didn't love it. Okay.
I didn't love it.
Well, there's one senator who you know pretty well, considering the fact that he was the vice presidential nominee when he worked on the Hillary Clinton, Tim Kaine presidential campaign. Because Scott mentioned this, I do want to run part of what Tim Kaine said in his line of questioning. And then on the backside, I want to listen to Mark Wayne Mullen, a Republican senator who's very close with Pete Hegseth, said as a counter.
Many of your work colleagues have said that you show up for work under the influence of alcohol or drunk. I know you've denied that, but you would agree with me, right, that if that was the case, that would be disqualifying for somebody to be Secretary of Defense.
Senator, those are all anonymous false claims, and the totality...
They're not anonymous. We have seen records with names attached to all of these, including the name of your own mother. So don't make this into some anonymous press thing.
The senator from Virginia starts bringing up the fact that what if you showed up drunk to your job? How many senators have showed up drunk to vote at night? Have any of you guys asked them to step down and resign from their job? And don't tell me you haven't seen it, because I know you have. And then how many senators do you know have got a divorce before cheating on their wives? Did you ask them to step down? No. But it's for show. You guys make sure you make a big show and point out the hypocrisy because the man's made a mistake.
Karen?
So here's what I thought was interesting about that. And Mark Kelly tried to get to that. First of all, Tim Kaine, he came, loaded with the questions he wanted to ask. He has a son who served in the military. So obviously he takes a lot of this very seriously in terms of the expectations we have of our members should be the same expectations and standards we hold the secretary to. I don't think he was wrong on that. But I thought Mark Kelly did a little bit of a better job kind of teasing some of that out and trying to get more underneath some of the substance of that question in terms of, he said, well, you've said you made mistakes, but you're not willing to tell us what the mistakes are. I thought that was another way to kind of go at that question.
And Scott, before...
I thought he handled it great because we all know, and even if the senators won't admit it, the public can identify with it if they have eyes to see and ears to hear, that when a question like that gets raised about, well, what have the senators done? They're not stepping down from their positions. The public, when you watch that clip, if you're smart enough, you can be like, yeah, okay, these same people that are accusing Hegseth and other people that they're going to confirm in these hearings, those same people, those senators, the ones in power with this decision, I'm sure they've done some messed up stuff. So even if it doesn't punch through to the other senators, what that other guy said makes a lot of sense and has an impact on the viewers like me and you.
Before I let you guys go, did you have any concern about the sort of lack of answers on some of the really important policy issues that he will have to face as defense secretary, or even information about treaties like ASEAN?
No, I don't have any concerns about anything he did today. I thought he specifically answered the questions he needed to. And some of this stuff is going to be set by the President of the United States and the President's National Security Council advisors and staff. I mean, he's not a one-man show. Secretary of Defense is important, but there's a whole national security team. I don't think Hegseth or anyone else from one of these kinds of positions should go to the table and act like they're going to unilaterally set policy. So I think he handled himself well today. I think Democrats had maybe built up in their mind that he was going to be a low performer. They lowered the bar, but he far jumped over any expectations they had said. And I just want to say one thing about Karen's comment. She made some great points. She raised some issues that Democrats obviously care about. These are important issues. I agree with her that maybe they did deserve a little more questioning today, which is why it's all the more puzzling why a Tim Kaine, who's worked for the Clintons or campaigned with him, who campaigned with Doug Emhoff, decided to spend 8 minutes.
The vice presidential nominee of our country. So due respect, please.
So he's supported some of these folks, and then he decided to spend 8 minutes on the granular details of this man's sex life. I mean, it was embarrassing for the Democratic Party today, particularly coming from Kaine. So I think Karen has it right. They did not do a good job. They totally whiffed on this, and they made it more, not less likely, that Hegseth's going to be confirmed.
Well, it seemed as though that was the writing was on the wall, even going into this hearing. Yeah. But I appreciate both of you coming on.
And it makes sense why Pete Hegseth could handle this situation, this line of questioning, this pressure-packed room. Why? Because if he's been in combat, he's been in positions where he has to make decisions that impact the life or death of people underneath him. That's a lot of pressure. Plus, you're in a foreign territory. For any of you guys who have traveled a bit like I have, when you go to these foreign countries where you're in uncharted territory, you don't know the customs, you don't know the culture, and you're an enemy, which is even hard to contemplate, you can imagine the pressure you're under already. Having to survive, having to watch your back, having to watch your team's back like Pete had to. And so for him to go through all of that for different years in different war zones, Afghanistan, I don't know if he said Iraq, to be able to handle the serious pressure, which it is serious pressure, of a Senate confirmation hearing with these targeted attacks, with teams behind the senators preparing all this information in order to tear you down, poke a hole in your reputation. Yes, that's pressure-packed, but he's already been prepared gradually through time by being in these war zones, being in charge of men, having all that pressure. He's been prepared for a situation like this. And it also shows you if the Democratic senators and Democrat Party thought he would be a low performer, that tells you that they do not truly appreciate or evaluate what it takes to be in the military, be in war zones, lead men and women. They don't, if you could put that together, that he did all of this over here, abroad, overseeing men in a military zone, then he's probably going to be able to handle our questioning pretty well. But if they couldn't make that connection, what does that tell you about what they think about men and women in the military? It's Sean Daniel here. If you guys enjoyed the video, consider subscribing or watching the best 30 minutes from Pete Hegseth confirmation hearing right here. And I'll see you in the next one.